Welcome to the deep dive. Ready to get our hands dirty with database systems?
I'm excited. Should be fun.
We've got research piled high, articles galore, and
Yeah, it's more exciting than it sounds, I promise.
way more, way more.
We're going to go from those databases you probably have on your own computer all the way to the big ones, the ones that run like Amazon or Google.
The big leagues.
Okay.
And to sort of organize all this, we'll be looking at three main types, right?
That's right. Personal, enterprise class, those massive systems, and then the hybrid systems.
And hopefully by the end of this deep dive, you'll be able to tell them all apart, know why they matter, and maybe even get some ideas of how to use them.
Because data,
It's kind of a big deal these days.
yeah, it really is. I mean, everything you do online, shopping, movies,
Checking the weather.
databases are behind it all.
So let's start simple, right? Those personal database systems, the kind of thing you might already have knocking around.
Right, like Microsoft Access or
Well,
LibreOffice Base.
Like your basic data management tools.
Exactly. Super user-friendly. You don't need to be a coding whiz to make tables or build reports.
It's about you taking control of your data. For a project, your small business.
Even just organizing your movie collection.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right. And one thing that really helped me when I was starting out with databases was, what is it called? Visual query building.
Oh, yeah, QBE. It was really cool.
It's almost like building with blocks.
Yeah. You connect stuff visually to make your queries.
Instead of writing code, which can be
intimidating, right?
Totally. And the cool part is, behind the scenes.
You're actually seeing the SQL code being built as you go.
It's like training wheels for learning SQL.
Exactly.
And speaking of SQL, that's kind of the heart of those enterprise systems, the big ones.
Yeah, that's where the power really ramps up. Think of a company like Netflix.
Millions of people streaming movies at the same time.
Massive amounts of data, and it all has to work flawlessly.
That speed, that scale.
Reliability. They have to be up and running all the time.
So how do they do it? How do those enterprise systems achieve that?
Well, imagine you're running an online store, and it's Black Friday. Huge
Sure
traffic.
doesn't want your website crashing.
No way. Your database has to handle the load.
Nightmare scenario.
That's where things like replication come in.
Replication.
You're basically making copies of your data on different servers. So if one crashes...
You've got backups.
Exactly, like an understudy.
Ready to step in.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's clustering, where multiple databases are working together.
Sharing the load.
Yeah, like a team of horses pulling a chariot. One gets tired, the others take over.
No single point of failure.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the security.
Oh, I bet that's super important for these big systems.
It's like Fort Knox for data. Access control so only the right people see sensitive stuff. Encryption to keep it safe.
Audit logs so you can track everything.
Yeah, it's all about layers of protection.
So we've got these systems that can handle massive amounts of data.
Yeah, and you know what's really cool?
What's that?
Distributed databases.
I've heard of those. But
They don't keep all the data in one place. They spread it out across multiple servers, sometimes even in different parts of the world.
Oh, wow.
So it's faster for people to access wherever they are, and it spreads the load.
Makes sense.
They use techniques like data partitioning, breaking the data into smaller chunks, and load balancing, making sure no single server is overwhelmed.
So all this is great for huge companies, but what about, regular people? Is there a way for us to, tap into that power?
That's a great question, and it leads us to hybrid systems.
Hybrid system.
The best of both worlds. The ease of use of personal databases, but with the power of enterprise-class systems behind them. Like, imagine you're a student learning SQL.
Right.
You could use a tool like Microsoft Access, but instead of your little local database, you'd connect it to, say, a MySQL database on a remote server.
So you're still using a familiar tool.
But working with a real heavy-duty database.
That's a great way to learn.
It is. And it's not just for education. Growing businesses use it, too. You could start with a simple database, and then as you grow...
You connect it to something bigger.
Exactly, like PostgreSQL, without having to throw everything out and start over.
So you keep all your custom stuff.
But you get the added power and security.
That's a really smart way to scale up.
It is. And there are different ways to make those connections happen.
We talked about ODBC and JDBC, but are there other ways?
Some personal databases actually have built-in connectors for specific enterprise systems.
So it's even easier.
Like Microsoft Access can connect directly to SQL Server. Super smooth.
Wow. We've gone from personal databases to these massive worldwide systems.
And now we're seeing how they can work together.
It's like we've unlocked a whole new level.
And this is just the start. There's so much more to explore. real-world examples, the world of NoSQL databases.
No, see.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And a glimpse into the future of data management. It's going to be a wild ride.
I can't wait. But for now, let's take a breath. Let all this sink in.
And when we come back, we'll dive even deeper into hybrid systems and the possibilities they offer. Stay tuned.
Definitely stay tuned. This is just getting good. Hybrid systems, huh? Sounds kind of cool, but do you have any, like, real-world examples of how they're used?
Oh, tons. Like in education, for example. Imagine you're learning about SQL and database design.
Okay.
You could use something familiar like Access as your front end. But instead of that small local database,
Right.
you connect it to, say, a MySQL database on a server somewhere else
So you're using the tools you know.
with a real powerful database behind it.
That's awesome. Like bridging the gap between theory and the real world.
Exactly. And it's not just for students. Businesses use it too, especially ones that are, growing fast.
I can see that.
Say you've been using a personal database, keeping track of customers, all that, but you're getting bigger.
You need more capacity.
More users, more data, more security. So instead of scrapping everything, starting over with a whole new system.
You go hybrid.
Right. You keep your familiar front end, all your customizations, but hook it up to a powerful back end, like PostgreSQL.
So you don't have to retrain everyone, learn a whole new system.
Exactly. You get the best of both worlds. Scalability, security, without disrupting your workflow.
And as you grow even more, you can always transition fully if you need to.
Yeah, it's a really flexible approach.
So it's like a stepping stone.
Yeah, exactly. A smart way to scale up.
Now, we've talked about ODBC and JDBC for connecting those systems.
Right.
But are there other ways?
Oh, yeah. Some personal database applications actually have like built-in connectors, specifically for certain enterprise systems.
Oh, so it's even easier.
Way easier. Like Access can connect directly to a SQL Server database.
Just like that.
Pretty much.
It's amazing how all this stuff connects together. We started with personal databases, and now we're talking about these huge global systems.
A whole ecosystem.
It really is, and it seems like it's constantly changing.
Yeah, always evolving. And speaking of evolution, one of the most exciting things happening is the rise of, what are they called?
NoSQL databases.
Yes.
NoSQL.
I've heard the term, but I don't really get what it is.
NoSQL stands for not only SQL, it's a whole different approach to databases.
Yeah.
Different from those, those traditional relational databases.
The ones with tables and all that structure.
Right. NoSQL is all about handling different kinds of data. Unstructured data like social media posts, answer data, multimedia files, stuff like that. They're built to be very scalable and distributed.
So they can handle tons of data and traffic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, think about the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, they've got to be dealing with a crazy amount of data.
All those posts, comments, likes, everything in real time, they use NoSQL databases to manage all that.
Makes sense.
Because it's flexible. It can handle data that doesn't fit neatly into, rows and columns.
Right. And it's not just social media. NoSQL is used in e-commerce, gaming, the Internet of Things. Anything that needs to scale up really big.
So with all these different types of databases, how do you choose the right one, like for a specific project?
That's the million-dollar question. It depends on what you're trying to do.
No easy answer.
It's a combination of things. What kind of data do you have? How much? How fast does it need to be? Your budget, your team's skills.
It's a lot to consider.
It is. But don't worry. We're here to help you navigate it all.
That's why we love the deep dive. But hold on, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've still got a lot more to cover.
We'll wrap things up after a quick break. Then we'll come back with some final thoughts and a challenge to get you thinking about your own data-driven projects.
Sounds good. Stay tuned. We've really gone deep on database systems today.
From personal to those huge global systems.
And everything in between.
It's amazing how much data is like woven into our lives now.
And how much it all keeps changing.
Yeah. As we wrap this up, I keep thinking about the human side of all this.
The human side.
Yeah. I mean, data, it's not just ones and zeros.
Right.
It's about us.
Yeah.
It's about, understanding people, what we do, what we like.
And then using that to make things better.
Exactly. Solves problems, create new things, make smarter choices.
Like developing new medicines.
Yeah. Or making education more personalized.
Or even just, making everyday life a little easier.
Exactly. That's where the real power is.
Not just managing data, but using it to make a difference.
It's like the intersection of technology and humanity.
Oh, it's pretty inspiring when you think about it that way.
It is. So, next time you're online or using an app, take a second to think about the data behind it.
All those systems working, collecting, and analyzing.
It's a whole world. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to make the next big discovery in it.
You don't have to be a data scientist to get involved.
Nope. There are so many resources out there online, in your community.
To start exploring, have fun with it.
The more you learn about data, the more you can do with it.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into database systems.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you've learned a lot and that you're feeling ready to...
dive into the data yourself.
Exactly. See you next time.